Hey guys, Verbal95, recording live from your local county prison cell. This is something I've been putting off for a while. It's giving me some time to, get some other fights on the queue, on the marquee, as they say. But we've actually got a good bit of weather today. Looking at, after the holidays, working a lot. Going through this whole thing. So I'm finally getting to actually doing another analysis video. So, this one today is Blake from Ruby versus Rayla from Dragon Prince. Now, Ruby and Dragon Prince, I mean, they're both 3D, animated, right? But they both have similar kind of I don't know. There's something weirdly similar about them. And my last video I did with Blake was Blake versus Raftalia from Rising of the Shield Hero. So, I figure I can see kind of them having similarities, but here's an alternative. I mean, how many fights did I do with Yang before we find, and neither of them ended up being what I did. Okay, I did Yang versus Bullet from Blaze Blue. And then I did Yang versus Leone from Akame Kill. So, and then they ended up doing Yang Tifa. So, there's nothing wrong with me putting a character in twice. It's not showing favoritism or anything. No, that sounded a little suspect, but whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna do Blake versus, Rayla. So, starting with Blake, she is a Faunus, which means she's, half animal. In her case, cat. This gives her, and the Faunus in general they take some traits of the animals that they adapt. So in Blake's case, she has, enhanced hearing. She has, a heightened sense of balance. All Faunus also have the ability to see in the dark, by default, for some reason. So, she is able, and then that's on top of her aura and her semblance and her, what is it? And, and her weapon. So her weapon, Gamble Shroud, has, it's a sword that also turns into a gun, and she uses a kind of ribbon kind of thing around her arm to swing it around. And it recently got the upgrade of having turning into a sickle. So she uses it like that, like a hook, so that's pretty cool, but yeah. So that's her using that weapon. Now she is incredibly skilled with it. I'm not trying to undersell it. She is able to, move around very well with it. And then also part of that is her semblance, which allows her to create shadow clones of herself, not in the Naruto sense of shadow clones, but shadow clones as in she's able to... It's more like an after image where, yeah, at the moment of impact, she can create a copy of herself that takes the hit for her while she kind of leaves. So it's more like the substitution jutsu than it is a shadow clone. And on top of that, there's, the semblance is powered by her aura being the physical manifestation of the person's soul, which then creates generally a shield around their body that's more inherent. They can't, turn it off. And it also, can heal. They can use it to heal themselves. They can use it to, protect themselves. And it's kind of it's kind of like a default ability. It's not something she can activate it to heal herself, but it's not something that necessarily they have control over. They can kind of it's weird. They can harness it, but it protects them by default. And that's how sword slashes and things aren't lethal by inherently in Ruby. That's why it takes a lot to, wear down a person's aura. So all of that, on top of her, Faunus heritage, makes her an incredibly, well-rounded and an incredibly formidable opponent. Then we get Rayla, who is a moon shadow elf, which she's not human, she's an elf. And being an elf means that not only she has 4 fingers, which doesn't really affect the fight, that's just a bit of trivia, and she has heightened agility, heightened not I wouldn't say it's more than people, but elves are described as being faster and stronger and more agile than people, but they're not. Like, we have seen humans that are more than capable of, fighting other elves. And then we also see that, Rayla herself is also imbued with magical energy, meaning that if she's capable of, if she's trained in magic, which she isn't, but, her body just kind of exudes magical energy from her being where she's from. Her weapon of choice is usually just twin swords. Elves have been shown to use bows and everything, but she just uses twin swords. And she's also very recently in the show, she had a spell casted on her that gives her the ability to breathe like high in mountains, and we see her do it like multiple times. So it's not something that I guess she just has the ability to breathe thinner oxygen. I don't know that that's affected like her lung capacity, or if it's like affected her respiratory system to the point where it's like, because real life people can live up in the mountains, and like they end up having like higher amounts of blood cells in their bodies, which gives them like this superhuman level of stamina. But I don't know that that's actually. But the other ability of hers has to do with her moon shadow elf heritage, specifically as a moon shadow elf, as opposed to other types of elves in the show, where during a full moon, not only does she get increased, does her strength and speed become even more superhuman, super elf, but she also becomes almost completely invisible. She becomes transparent, right? So, that would be something to look out for. So, how I see this fight going, I see this probably taking place in, like, a forest somewhere. And I see the moon coming out. The reason, now you're going to say that might be in Rayla's favor, and it is, but the way usually Death Battle does something, when they think of using a character, they want to use both characters at full power, as long as one character's full power doesn't, like, inhibit another character's, right? Blake is no less powerful under a full moon than she is at any other time. I mean, she has the ability, she's arguably more powerful because she can see in the dark, whereas normal human characters can't. So, if putting Rayla at full power doesn't disable Blake from being at full power, they're gonna put Rayla at full power. So I know that a full moon is going to come into play at some point. I would say Blake has the advantage up until... You see, it's weird, because, like, yeah, we know Blake has the advantage up until the point where, the full moon comes out, because Aura being able to take hits from, and her being able to not really heal herself, but like Aura doesn't heal you like automatically, except for in extreme cases like people like Jean, but it heals you over time faster than you would normally. Like, so like if she breaks her arm, she can heal within like a couple hours with her aura. But if you so, like, yeah, her aura is going to give her a lot of defense, and her ability to see in the dark, plus the fact she has a gun, I think is kind of in her favor. But then Rayla's ability of being, almost invincible in her world, at least, during a full moon, I don't know. I feel that, well, Blake's fought opponents that could turn quote-unquote invisible before. She fought Ilya, right? Now, yeah, they're friends, but they have fought before, and has shown that she was able to see Ilya. Now, maybe that's more of a hunch, and because she knew she was there, but I feel like having the advanced senses, like having advanced hearing, having advanced smell, probably gives Blake the advantage in that case. Um, Not to mention, her semblance being able to pretty much fake out Rayla. That, I mean, Rayla's been ambushed a lot. So was Blake, but like, um, I don't know. I think just due to special ability alone, because Rayla's is more situational, even though I feel like that situation would have to come up in the fight in order for it to be relevant. I feel like just having the advantage of the weapon, being her weapon being more, useful, as well as, like I said, being a gun. Um, the advantage of having, the semblance and the aura at her disposal, having advanced senses at her disposal. Um, Rayla also has enhanced hearing, but not like so much more enhanced than a human, not to the extent that a cat's ears are enhanced. Um, I'd say I'd have to give this to Blake probably. Yeah, that's a tough one, but I'd say Blake probably takes that. This isn't. I feel a little underwhelmed by Rayla in this fight. This seemed like a better fight. It seemed like a better fight because okay, you've got two opponents. Um, right, you've got these two people. They both had mentor teacher figures that have a prejudice against humans and a hatred towards humans, and they both kind of flee against them. They're both considered, to a degree, traitors to their people, right? I thought this would be a better fight, but maybe, maybe not. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna say Blake. And but anyway, fun fact: another thing that probably kept this fight from happening is that I've had to redo the thumbnail for it